Good afternoon. I'd like to call the Caddo Parish Commission regular scheduled meeting to order January 3rd, 2019. Get that right, at 3:30 p.m. Ms. Nations, if we can have the roll call at this time.
Dominic,
Present.
Johnson, Jackson, Lynn,
Present.
Fleming,
Present.
Hawthorne,
Present.
Watts,
Present.
Middleton,
Here.
Atkins,
Here.
Chavez,
Here, ma'am.
Smith, Johnson.
Present.
If we can all stand, we'll ask that Commissioner Middleton lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. But first of all, we'll have Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts lead us in the invocation.
All hearts and minds are clear. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, how we thank you, Lord God, for this day that you have granted us. God, a new day of new mercies, God, new opportunities, oh Lord. God, to pick up where we have left off. Lord, we ask that you would be in this meeting on today, God, that we would make decisions that would be pleasing and acceptable in your sight. God, I thank you for the opportunity to serve, God, and I bless your name. In Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Everyone, please face the American flag. Place your right hand over your heart. If you're a veteran, you have the option to render a brow salute and recite with me the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Middleton. Thank you, Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts. Before we go too much further, I just wanted to say how nice Dr. Wilson looks. I asked him.
Said he was trying to get like Gerald.
Yeah, I forgot the bow tie press.
Well,
He wrote it today.
I asked if he was dressing up because this would be my last day, and he said no because he was celebrating me leaving as president. Appreciate that, Doc. He's getting ready for a new turnover. Okay, so at this time we'll move on to our next item, Ms. Nations.
Selection of Caddo Commission officers for the year 2019.
Okay, at this time we will have selection of commissioner officers. First will be the president. Do I have a nomination for president for the Caddo Parish Commission?
Yes. I nominate Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts.
Okay, a second by the chair. So Commissioner Mike Middleton nominates Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts as president for 2019. That's second by the chair. Commissioner Lynn.
I nominate Lynn Cawthorn.
Okay, we have a second nomination of Matthew Lynn for Lynn Cawthorn as president. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Lynn Cawthorn. Okay. No one else is on the board. So, Donna, if I'm correct, what we'll do is we'll vote for Lynn Cawthorn first. Is that right?
Yes.
Since he was the last. Let's see how many people we got here.
10.
So he needs to get, whoever gets 6 votes wins.
That's correct.
Okay, no one, so if you're for Lynn Cawthorn at this time, you'll vote yes. If you're for Stormy Gage Watts, just don't vote, okay? All right? Okay. Those for Lynn Cawthorn for president, please vote. Okay, so we have 3 for Lynn Cawthorn. Clear the board. At this time, if you're for Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts as president, please vote. That passes 7-0. Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts, you are now the president of the Caddo Parish Commission. Hey, Chris, come on up here. Come on, Chris.
Mr. Chris, come on up.
You get up there up front, make the pictures.
You want to do them? Let's do the officers.
Step up there.
Everybody got one. You need an extra one?
Got
There you go.
Are you gonna read it?
Are you gonna finish doing the officers? Are you gonna finish doing the officers?
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
Okay, all right, so we'll move on to, the next officer will be Commissioner Vice President. The chair moves that Mario Chavez
Second.
be promoted to Vice President. That is seconded by Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts. Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts, you wish to speak?
I was about to make the motion.
Okay. Commissioner Chavez, you wish to speak?
Thank you. I don't know what you are. I guess chair for right now. We have a new president, but I just wanted to say.
You don't know what I am.
Not right.
Words of wisdom, and we're moving you up to Vice President.
I don't know what your current position is.
Okay.
So I'll just say, Commissioner, first off, I wanted to thank you for the opportunity you granted me this previous year to serve as your parliamentarian. I hope I served you proud and managed my duties respectfully and proficient as you would have me wanted, as you had wanted me to. I would never have asked for this position unless I felt I was ready. Last year, before I asked for your faith in me as parliamentarian, I took a 6-hour course to complete the training needed to be certified in parliamentary procedure. Now I come to you respectfully asking for your faith in me to serve as your vice president. There was not a course or class I could attend to prepare myself for this position. However, I feel I am adequately ready to serve this commission body proud. Please consider me today when the time comes to appoint our 2019 officers for vice president. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, please vote for Commissioner Mario Chavez as Vice President. Lame duck, I guess that's what you call it.
No, I didn't hear you quack.
Commissioner Cochran.
Oh, I didn't vote?
Okay, that passes 10-1. And moving to our next item, which will be parliamentarian. Do I have a motion for parliamentarian?
I'll make a motion for Commissioner Gerald Bowman for parliamentarian.
I have a motion by Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts, President Stormy Gage Watts, for Commissioner Gerald Bowman to be moved to parliamentarian. Do I have a second? Seconded by Commissioner Vice President Mario Chavez. No one else is on the board. No one else is on the board. Please vote.
Look at God.
Gerald.
Gerald's so nice he probably didn't vote for himself.
I only want to.
Okay, that passes 10-0. At this time, we're going to change seats. I will move over to Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts' seat. And
Hey, I don't know if I need to be in cookies by y'all. Yeah.
yeah.
I have a seat 10.
Michelle, do you have us any particular spot?
Can I move? I just want to thank God.
Is this going to mess up the voting?
Once y'all sit down, I'll change you.
Can I move? I'll be encompassed by this.
Here's one. You need that whole
Well, servitude.
You're welcome.
They just get something rubbed off on you now.
Ain't gonna rub off.
That's the problem. Hey, can I get a book? Did you have a book? We don't have.
No.
Yeah, let me have it.
Thank you, Randy.
Chris, you come on up there and get that picture.
I think Commissioner Dominic was thinking we'd take a picture.
Do what?
Do you want to take a picture of the new leadership team?
Yeah.
Sure. I forgot, Krista's not here to make sure that I'm there.
She's not, but we're gonna take a picture, and she said that she'll be here Thursday to set up some interview stuff, and she wants to get all y'all's pictures on Thursday too, but she asked if we could just take one.
Next time we meet.
Probably do that.
She's always.
He's standing there. All right. It didn't like it. All was good.
Randy, you got film?
I'm good.
I love it.
All right.
Can you get one in there?
I will. Yes, sir.
Hurry up before I start crying.
He waited till I got in there and started crying.
All right. Okay.
Facebook.
Michelle, are we ready?
We are ready.
All
Next, we'll
right.
move to agenda additions.
I don't have any. Do you have any agenda additions?
No, ma'am. Next, we move to citizens' comments.
I don't have any cards.
I
Do
think
you
you
have
got
any?
one under, there was one under there, Stormy,
You lost it?
I think it was John. John, did you fill one out?
Probably still
You
have it.
can't talk if you didn't do it now.
John, you filled one out, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay, I saw John's name and I don't know if it got,
You kept it as a souvenir.
yeah.
John Settle for Tealwood. I wanted to address 4 issues. One, I thought Stormy would be elected today because I was at the gala and I saw her in 2 different outfits. And I was there 4 hours and she was the only lady that I saw that changed outfits at the gala. So that's pretty impressive. Number one, I support Commissioner Lynn's comments yesterday on ordinance 5842. I've supported the hotel motel tax to fund the sports commission, but I have a problem with funding additional $8,000 for this boxing match. It's a for-profit venture. It's quote only $8,000, but I agree entirely with the comments Mr. Lynn made yesterday on that. Secondly, I also agree with the comments on checking on those, how the funding was on those houses in Queensboro. I think Mr. Kuvian sent an email that kind of set forth some things, and I also support Commissioner Lynn's comments on that. Ordinance 5847 to fund Cedar Grove CDC. I have a problem with that. One, the Secretary of State's website says that the Cedar Grove CDC is not in good standing. Trying to Google this and find out information on it, the last tax return information nonprofit is from 2013. It shows that Commissioner Jackson is a key player in it, and it showed at that time reserves of $5,000. All of us go to churches, and I feel sure we'd all like our church or our church organization to have money. Grace Community Church sponsors Common Ground in Cedar Grove area that has soup kitchen, tutorial programs, clothes pantry, blah, blah, blah. So if you're going to start funding churches that each of us go to, or each of y'all go to, then I don't know where you end with it. I also oppose ordinance 5848. Mr. Jackson wants to fund $15,000 to Grace Community. And I looked at the background information. It's not Grace Community Church, which I'm a member of. If you look at the Secretary of State's website, there's a Grace Community Development Corporation, which is out of New Orleans. It's inactive. And then there is a local corporation, LMG, parens Love, Mercy Grace, close parens, Community Development. I think this may be the group that he wants to fund because some of the names look familiar. It's inactive with the Secretary of State. Both of these funding requests which he's made, which I know are just for introduction, there's no backup on where the $15,000 is going to be spent, no backup on the $5,000. I just think that it's not a good idea first of the year to start immediately amending your budget and adding new things, whether it's those situations or, no offense, funding the fight, which is going to be next week. They already have an ad in the forum. I just don't think that needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Settle, for your comments. And for the record, I only changed clothes once.
Oh, I'm sorry. You had on 2 different outfits. Yeah.
Just the gloves. It's okay. Next, Michelle, I don't have any other citizen comments.
We have no visitors. We have no special resolutions. We need to adopt the regular session minutes from December 6th.
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson and a second by Commissioner Gerald Bowman. Please vote.
Michelle, have these been updated? We typically say our name on the top.
That passes 11-0.
Now we need to adopt the special session minutes from the 2019 budget adoption.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. I didn't hear who was the second.
Lewis.
Second by Commissioner Lewis Johnson. Please vote. That passes 11-0.
Next, we move to communiques and committee report, administration response to information requests from commissioners.
Okay. See Commissioner Dominic. All right, we have Commissioner Dominic.
Yeah, since I'm not president, I won't be giving a president's report, but I just want to say thank you to each and everyone on the commission for allowing me to serve. Dr. Wilson, your staff, the employees of Caddo Parish, and particularly the citizens of Caddo Parish. It's been an honor to serve as the president and also as the vice president and parliamentarian over the last several years. I'm gonna have to get used to, because I've almost said motion made by, it's kind of a habit. But I thank y'all for allowing me to serve, and look forward this is my last year. I'll be term limited out, and look forward to it. So maybe I am kind of lame duckish. Mario?
I never said that.
Okay.
Just didn't know your new title.
And I will congratulate Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts and Commissioner Mario Chavez and Mr. Bowman for y'all's new position, and look forward to working with y'all this coming year. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Dominic. We have Commissioner Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President. Dr. Wilson, in lieu of all this rain, I appreciate you guys putting on the website how the citizens can achieve the sandbags.
Yes, sir.
But can you put, just for the record, what phone number or what's the address for them to reach, and what are the hours of operation so that they know? Because I know a lot of people are watching this meeting right now.
Okay.
Robert, you want to come up here and do it, or you got it at the end? Okay, no, I know, for the people that aren't watching the website though, but that are watching this video, I wanted to make sure that they knew the hours of operation. Because I know there's specifics, each citizen can only obtain 20 sandbags, but if they have a situation where they need more, who should they reach out to?
We will work with them. We're open today and tomorrow and Saturday if need be. The rain is supposed to stop today. It hasn't been raining that hard. We think we're not as concerned with the river, but Wallace Lake is getting up, but they're predicting 156, but we don't think it's going to get that high. So, but we do have sandbags ready, and we've already got them stockpiled at Fleet and South Camp in Spring Ridge.
What's the address for the location for pickup?
It's on Monty Street,
Okay.
off Arrow Drive. I don't have the exact address.
Thank you, Robert.
A quick follow-up question, if I may, Mrs. Chairman, Mrs. President.
Yes.
Robert, for the people in District 9, I guess it's quickest to go to the South Camp, is that correct?
Yes,
So-
say so. Yeah.
For our neighborhood?
For probably about the same.
Okay.
Fleets, and we got I-49 that way. Going to Spring Ridge, you have to cut across roads, Colquitt Road, and, probably about the same distance.
Okay, thank you.
And then really quick, I have the addresses. I didn't want to steal your thunder, Robert, but it's 11928 Greenwood, Spring Ridge Road in Keithville for the South Camp, and the other one is 1701 Monty Street, and both those locations are open until 5 p.m.
Correct.
Thanks for that, guys. President, that's all.
Thank you, Vice President Chavez. Next speaker, Commissioner Johnson.
I want to give my congratulations to the new officers. You face a challenge this year, as with any other officers coming in. You have to deal with 9 different personalities, and sometimes our personalities don't always jive together, but just be ready and have good patience. It's a learning experience and something that you'll cherish for the rest of your life. I was going to also talk about the meeting they had today about the rain and about the rivers and the lakes and the potential flooding or the possibility of some flooding in some low-lying areas. So Mario, you already covered that, so I won't go into that. But as things, if things get worse, my Facebook page would be an avenue to get information, and also the Caddo website, because we'll get daily updates on what the lakes and the rivers are doing. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Parliamentarian Commissioner Bowman.
I just wanted to. I don't have any committee updates, but I did want to, and I'm gonna do it gracefully, Commissioner Atkins. I just want to thank everybody and let you know how grateful I am and how I don't take this opportunity lightly. That if anything else, I think I'll be doing 3 times as more as I've ever done, because I understand that it's not about me. This is about the parish of Caddo, and I'm grateful for just the opportunity to be able to continue to serve even in this capacity. And I want to thank my Aunt Mavis and my my Grandma Lois, my dad who's in his absence, Jerry Bowman. And I gotta say Morning Star, Val, everybody, and my brother in his absence as well. And I just want to just thank everybody. I am grateful, so thank you again. You know I'm a star.
You done?
All right, yes, ma'am.
Thank-
Yes, Madam President.
Thank you, Parliamentarian. Commissioner Middleton, you was off of the board. I see Commissioner Lynn. Commissioner Lynn?
Congratulations to our newly elected officers, all well deserved. The question I have is the sandbag machine that we've got, it's portable, isn't it? Administration or?
Yes, sir.
When we bought that, I remember that we chose a portable one so that we could get the bags made, the sandbags made closer to where they're needed. Is there a certain level at which the water will rise to where we'll put that on the back of a truck and haul it to where they're needing the bags rather than making citizens drive to pick them up?
Okay. Let me get an answer. Let me get an answer for Mr. Lynn.
What about the sand, man?
It is somewhat portable, but all the auxiliary, all the attachments, sand, we have it set up where it's a drive-through deal at Fleet Service, so you can service cars. They just come by one at a time. It'd be very difficult to move the machine around. It's a large machine. We have it underneath a shed. We have a concrete pad on it now, so it's not, I mean, it could be moved, but we would not want to move it.
Y'all bring the sand to the machine, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. And so if it was needed, you could bring the machine somewhere and bring the sand there also?
We could, but then you're going to be out in the elements. You'd have a lot of difficulty if you did that.
Okay. I would just like for us all to take that into consideration. If you have neighborhoods or distinct areas like Wallace Lake that are close to flooding, that...
Well, we think we can distribute the bags out. I mean, we have big trucks that can load up, several thousand sandbags and move the bags. They're already done. You can just take them off the truck.
So it's easier for us to bag them there and then deliver them?
Yes.
Will
We even have a conveyor belt set up. It automatically loads them in the back of a big dump truck, so you can put, a couple of thousand bags in the back of a dump truck and drive it off. You got a conveyor belt.
Are you planning on delivering bags out to Wallace Lake for them to be picked up?
We could, but
You could. Are you planning on it?
No.
Okay.
But I'm sure, we haven't seen any flooding down there yet.
Okay.
Yeah, it has not, it's not really there yet.
Any neighborhoods yet.
I see that our 2018, the highest level was 154 feet in November of this past year, and we're only at 152 right now.
Correct.
Thank you. That's it.
That's
Thank you,
it?
Madam President.
You're welcome. Thank you, Commissioner Lynn. Commissioner Middleton?
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. President. And Commissioner Atkins, I did go to the meeting at lunch at 11 o'clock today. There could be issues if they were trying to go down Linwood to Barron Road. So at Linwood, south of Southern Loop, could be an issue. So they may want to check the road conditions at that point. And I'd like to thank Commissioner Dominic for leading us this last year. You did a fantastic job. You kept it very orderly and organized. And Mario, that 6 hours of training you took, man, really paid off. You did a great job as parliamentarian. And thank you for your always attendance too, both y'all. Thank y'all. Congratulations to the officer. Gerald, congratulations.
Bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
That's it? Thank you, Commissioner Middleton. Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Madam President. Congratulations to you, Madam President, and
Thank
to you, Mr. Vice President, and to you, Mr. Parliamentarian. And I'd like to thank Doug Dominic for his service and Vice President Cawthorn for his service this last year. So, and the year before as parliamentarian, so thank you for that service. I'd also like to point out that, Madam President, I've taken the liberty as mentioned in our last meeting, I've taken the liberty of arranging an Economic Development Committee meeting for Monday, January 7th at 1:30. I understand that there could be some changes in leadership, but I just wanted to let you know of that meeting schedule. The two agenda items are to discuss the parish's relationship with NLEP, the historical relationship, and what the requirements of the agreement were, and how NLEP performed versus those requirements. And then also we're going to ask for an update from Mrs. Frazier on the GM facility, and just an update on where we are with all of that. So that's all I had. I just want to make sure you're aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, right. It's a conference room on 8th floor.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Commissioner Cawthorn.
Yes, I just want to congratulate our incoming officers, Madam President Gage Watts, and our Vice President Mario Chavez, and Gerald Bowman. I'm our parliamentarian. I am confident that you guys will do a yeoman's job as it relates to the position that you guys have been entrusted with. And you have my full support as we move forward our 2019 agenda. I also want to appreciate Doug Dominique for what he's served over the last year. He did a decent job. No, he did a real good job. And even want to compliment Mario Chavez for the job he done.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Cawthorn. Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. I too want to echo the sentiments of my other commissioners. Congratulations to our new administrations as it relates to leaders of the commission. Proud to have each of you, look forward to working with each of you. And I want to personally thank Commissioner Doug Dominic. You did a great job. It was a pleasure working with you, as well as our Vice President, Vice President Lynn Cawthorn. So I'm looking forward to a very good year. Congratulations to each of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lewis.
Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yes, I think Tim Weaver wants to come up and give us some information.
I just want to give an update. Mike brought it up. We are closing Southern Loop, Linwood, and Barron Road right now. So we're just going to be on the safe side. And I just got word from the National Weather Service that they're going to, like, their projection of 156, they're going to lower it to 154. So that's good news for us.
Excuse me, may I ask a clarification question?
Yes, you may.
When you say closing, you're closing
Just
Southern Loop
Southern,
at Linwood?
Southern Loop West at I-49.
Okay, west of I-49?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. All right.
You said Barron Road also, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson.
That's all I had. I saw that he needed to come up and speak.
Thank you. Commissioner Middleton, you're back on the board.
Tim brought it up. That's what I was going to bring up, because I just got a text too on it. But Lynn, I didn't mean to overlook you a while ago, Lynn Cawthorn. You done moved over there, and I'm used to seeing over here. So anyhow, great job. Thank you. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Middleton.
So I placed myself in the queue. Okay. First of all, let me say thank you to my colleagues for this opportunity to serve. I am privileged and honored to serve behind Commissioner Dominic, who has done a fair job, a great job of serving us as president, and I am grateful to follow in your footsteps. You've set precedents for us to follow, and I hope that I will do a great job and make each of you proud of carrying out my position as leadership. I want to also say thank you to Commissioner Cawthorn for his service and the job that you have been doing, and for your support as well in working together from this point out, as well as my other commissioners, Vice President Chavez and Parliamentarian Commissioner Gerald Bowman. We are looking forward to making sure that this organization gets the full attention that it deserves, and making sure that we keep a positive outlook on it and keep making Caddo better. Thank you.
Thank you, Storm.
Welcome, sir. Michelle just did President's report. Next item, please.
Public hearing on ordinances. Ordinance number 5834 of 2018, amending the 2018 budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the Riverboat Fund to reduce the appropriations for riverboat revenues by $100,000.
Madam President.
Commissioner, I'm sorry.
Point of order, Madam
Dr.
President.
Wilson, did we have you under administration report?
Yes,
We
ma'am.
skipped you. I'm so sorry. So let us
It's all right.
back that up. We skipped Dr. Wilson under administration report. So do you have any response, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Well, first of all, congratulations.
Thank
to
you.
all the new leaders of the commission board. And also, I'd like to commend Commissioner Dominic for doing the opening job, as well as Commissioner Hawthorne, who've been at many occasions this past year. Job well done by everyone, and I look forward to working with the new leadership team. Now, I'm quite sure we'll be talking every day, Commissioner Gage. So look forward to that. We have three guests today. The first guest we have is Mr. Scott Martinez. He was here yesterday to speak, and also we'd like to give him an opportunity to say a few words today, followed by two other guests. Mr. Martinez, NLEP Executive Director.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez.
Thank you. First of all, I want to echo some of the sentiments of the other speakers and congratulate you, Madam President, on your election, and as well as the other incoming officers, and thank Commissioner Dominic for his service. Actually, when I got here 5 or 6 years ago, Charles Grubb and I remember driving up to your office in North Caddo when we were working on a project. So I appreciate your service and really hate to see you go. And thank you, Commissioner, for allowing me to address you this afternoon. As was discussed extensively in the work session yesterday, the Caddo Commission has had a contract with NLEP for 3 years that have included an NLEP staff person dedicated to Caddo initiatives. After my departure yesterday to take a previously arranged phone call before I received the agenda, several things that I said I wish to clarify. All the feedback that I've received over the past 3 years when I've asked commissioners and different representatives at the parish about the relationship with NLEP and the performance of the contract was very positive. You know, Ms. Dudley, I personally can say without reservation, Ms. Dudley worked diligently to promote Caddo Parish, from working with Pastor Sims and Mr. French on Ward 2 initiatives to attending many meetings related to economic development projects in Caddo even after she left employment with NLEP. Number 2, economic development goes beyond a phone call. Typically, the phone call is when the work begins. The genesis of that phone call it can come from many places. It can go to Randy Lucky. It can come from a real estate broker. It can come from a site consultant I've had relationships with 20 years. That's happened last Sunday, and I had to take the call yesterday related to someone that was interested in Caddo. So that's just the beginning of the economic development process, many instances. Look, as you can see, we've proactively generated leads as well as LED and shown multiple sites in Caddo Parish over the past 3 years. We're not sitting over there and not giving, not aggressively marketing North Louisiana, and we take our relationship with Caddo Parish very seriously, and I do in particular because of our leadership in our organization. But all the feedback I've got has been positive until Ms. Dudley's departure last month. And I don't want anything to go against her, because I think, from my perspective, she was at a lot of these meetings, and I think she did a good job from my perspective. And you'll see her come up and continue doing economic development in this area in another capacity. And we've submitted sites for Caddo as illustrated, and we go out of market quite a bit. We're involved in the Industrial Asset Management Council, which is a consortium of the Fortune 500 real estate companies in the U.S. We have relationships with those folks. We brought in 6 national site consultants last year, if you remember, and showed them Shreveport. We showed them Caddo. We had support from the private sector to make that a real memorable event. Many of you recall, Gail Flowers had a top of state event, and she brought one of those site consultants back, Mike Mullis, and during the comments he had at BIPSI, he talked about what a quality organization NLEP was. We've got a reputation nationally and in the state as being one of the best. I don't know what some of the perceptions regarding economic development in the process is, but I've been doing this 20 years. I've done it in 3 states, and I've directly been involved with $1.6 billion of capital investment in my career. And I serve on the International Economic Development Council Board of Directors. I've been an instructor in economic development at Texas A&M University and the Trent Lott National Center at the University of Southern Mississippi. You know, I may not know some of the things you know in your profession, whether it's in the legal profession or whether it's doing government affairs for a large corporation. But I can say without reservation, I've been doing economic development a long time, have a graduate degree in it, and have been successful in my career in delivering projects. You have before you the actual contract that's been ratified and been approved that ends at the end of this calendar year. In an email that Dr. Wilson shared with you, you know, my intent was to have discussions with this commission, given the new leadership of the city, and see what the best path going forward with economic development, and look myopically at Caddo Parish and Shreveport. A deficiency on my part, and I'm president of NLEP, and everything stops with me. It doesn't stop with an NLEP focused staff person that's with Caddo Parish Initiatives. I'm the president. Something I could have done better with this commission and helping this commission with is my communication with you. And for that, I apologize, because I could have done a better job coming in myself personally and not delegating it to anyone and letting you know our performance related to that contract. We do 3 things as an organization. And I know we're talking specifically about the contract in place, but we do 3 things. We do economic development, and within economic development, we focus on 2 target areas. We focus on advanced manufacturing and distribution and information technology. We had a large data center looking at the former Silver building 2 weeks ago on a project that we looked at. You know, economic development doesn't happen by happenstance or manna coming from heaven. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Had that Silver building not been in place and those private partners hadn't done the rehab to that and that convergence of all that telecommunications infrastructure that was there yesterday, we would not have had the opportunity to even show that site to a large hospital group that came in from the Texas market. So there's more to it than just a phone call. There's more to it than just the genesis of where that phone call comes from. And there's more to it than just sitting there waiting for the phone to ring. You know, we're traveling the country telling the story of North Louisiana and Caddo Parish in particular. We sent, you know, the other 2 things we do that aren't directly related to this, I want to reference. The Manufacturing Week. We started doing that 5 years ago. We had 150 high school kids going to local manufacturers or manufacturers in the region to expose them to manufacturing. From different high schools in Caddo Parish and our surrounding communities, this year we had over 1,700. Lastly, we do advocacy. You know, there was a millage renewal that we were very supportive of recently. We are a political action committee I'm involved with directly funneled $6,500 to that initiative. We did resolutions. We supported it on Facebook. I think we've been a good partner to this commission and to Caddo Parish. I personally take responsibility for any breakdown in communication with this commission. And going forward, regardless of whether this contract or some derivative of this contract's in place with shared priorities and shared expectations, you can rest assured that I'm going to be in front of this commission on a very structured periodic basis communicating with you, whether it's this commission as a whole or the Economic Development Committee. That was a breakdown from my perspective. And just making y'all aware of the process. It's more than a phone call. We cover 11,000 square miles in North Louisiana. We go from Manny to Mer Rouge. And there was a reference made about local groups that have economic developers. In the 14 parishes we serve, Natchitoches, Ruston, Minden, North Webster, and Bossier have locally focused economic development groups. I encourage you to look at what they do and some of the things they do and the projects. When there's a large-scale project in those communities, we're the ones doing the legwork, we're the ones doing the site visits, we're the ones putting these extensive RFPs together that sometimes are 50 and 60 pages that have very detailed engineering in it. It's more than a phone call, it's more than sending a letter, and it's more than just us, you know, saying we're doing economic development. It's a process, and quite frankly, not to sound cliche, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. Economic development doesn't just happen in 3-year intervals. It took San Antonio 20 years to get Toyota. Toyota in Mississippi, there were 3 counties that came together and over 10 years put together a site for that project. You know, so I get back to preparation. We just did a certified site process with Hunter Industrial Park in North Shreveport. We just got notification today that we'll be doing a different certification program with BRF and some of their stuff around Intertech. That's a smaller site program that LED has. So that'll be 75% of state money that'll flow through NLEP to do those certified sites and set the table so we can invite guests to dinner that invest money in North Louisiana and provide job opportunities for people in North Louisiana and Caddo Parish specifically. So regardless of where this contract goes or how it doesn't go going forward, rest assured NLEP is going to continue doing what we do, and we're going to be effective partners, and we look forward to working with this commission and the leadership of this commission.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. I have a commissioner on board, Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Scott, for coming down and giving us that information. But, you know, my deal for introducing the ordinance the other day was totally different from some of the comments you heard yesterday. We do have 2 agreements with NLEP. One is mostly what you talked about today, but the other one was dealing with the economic development person. And the reason that I put what I put on the agenda Monday or Wednesday is because I asked for some information pertaining to the service agreement dealing with the person, and basically it's the quarterly financial statements of how the 125 is being used in NLEP. And my answer was given to me was, you felt that you shouldn't have to do that. And my response back to Dr. Wilson, to you, was that we're utilizing taxpayers' dollars, and so that is a request that seems feasible from a commissioner to ask of how that money is being spent. And so what I was trying to find out is how was the compensation, the travel, office supplies, and professional development, how's that broken down in that quarterly report? And that is listed right here in this service agreement. It wasn't anything else that I had in mind. It was just, is the 125 adequate enough for that position? Do we need to increase it? Do we need to reduce it? You know, this position was started in 2016. It was something that me and Dr. Wilson talked about as the president, and I said we probably need somebody outside of our 505 Travis to have more of a focus on that. And so when I got the answer back, I was totally shocked and amazed. And so with me, I'm really not gonna go back and forth. I'm just gonna say, well, we just pull the money.
Certainly.
And we'll get some answers one way or the other.
Certainly, and if you will allow me to address that particular point.
Okay.
You know, my reservation with that request was the personnel piece. I didn't want to give personnel information for an NLEP employee because I felt that could open me up to legal issues and other issues related to a personnel issue. If you were to look at hard costs at a macro level that I can attribute to salaries, benefits, travel, continuing ed, and specific conferences, whether it's NACO, whether it's LMA, whether it's IMC, the total comes to about $116,000 of hard cost of the 125.
And that information I asked for, but I couldn't get it. I wanted it in writing.
At the Petroleum Club that
but
day.
I wanted it in writing, though.
I can give you that in writing, but I don't give personnel information.
I didn't ask for detailed personnel information. I only asked for information that's on the service agreement.
That's the hard numbers. Regardless of where this thing goes, that's the hard numbers. So for NLEP, with that staff position, you take that staff position, those costs related to that staff position out, it's a financial balance. You know, if that staff position is not there and that resource isn't there, it's pretty much equals out. So this isn't, I don't want there to be any misconception that this is some financial boondoggle for NLEP, because it actually kind of covers hard costs and just a little bit of cushion when you look at supplies and some of the other overhead related to that position.
Well, that was my point. I wanted to see where we stand. Was it too high? Was it too low? Do we need to reassess it? But given the information that I got back, then it was like, okay. Why? And so that's what caused the meeting that we had. And then even at the meeting, if you knew that's the information I wanted, you basically had it on your cell phone and gave me a answer from your cell phone. Well, if it's electronic, you could have emailed it to Dr. Wilson and he could have gave it to me, and we didn't even have to have lunch. But the fact of that, when we ask for something like that, it's not because of some hidden, well, not with me, I'm not asking for a hidden agenda. It's asking just to make sure, assessing, because it has been about 3 years, so are we on point or are we off point any? Do we need to make some changes? But the answer I got back was, you felt you didn't need to do that, and I'm like, well, that's a simple request that I felt that I asked.
Well, I understand and certainly apologize for that miscommunication on my part, and again, it all stops with me, so certainly wish that communication had been better.
Okay. That's ridiculous.
That's it, Commissioner?
That's it.
Commissioner Jackson?
Yes, thank you. Dr. Wilson, as I pointed out yesterday, correct me if I'm wrong, the contract that we have in place is not inclusive of the $50,000. So can somebody explain what does the $50,000 that we're doing? Because the total cost was $175 in any given budget year. Is that correct, or was this 125 rolling?
No, that's correct.
So 175,000.
Yes, sir. As part of the 15 parish regional efforts to do economic development, we were contributing 75,000. And then when we decided to go with a full-time dedicated person for Caddo, that 75 was reduced to 50, and we provided 125,000 for a salary person to be totally dedicated to the parish's efforts.
Mm-hmm.
That is two separate things.
So the $50,000 just provides membership?
And regional effort to do economic development, yes.
Okay. So
More than membership, we receive services, and because prior to getting a full-time person, we did rely on NLEP for support as well for that money we were giving them.
So I guess what I'm asking is, and these are hypotheticals because I can't guess which direction the body will go. What if we decided to do a 1-year extension on the 125 and reduce the 50? Then what would we be losing if we? I know if we lose the 125, we would lose the staff person, correct?
Yes.
So if we remove the 50, then what would we be losing?
Well,
and kept the 125.
Well, I'm not sure I can answer that question because I would think it'd be one and the same. If you're providing 125,000, but the 50,000 we are providing was for the regional effort.
Mm-hmm.
But the 125 provided us a parish-focused effort.
Right. So would we lose membership?
We were competing for resources with 14 other parishes.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a total dedicated response to the Parish Caddo Commission.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
So I guess what I'm asking, I'm gonna wrap up. So the 50 was just buying us membership,
No,
or
sir.
paying our membership
No,
to
sir.
NLEP?
We were getting support, but we were not getting dedicated support because we were in competition with 14 other parishes for the same resources, support-wise.
Okay. So right now, we're still at 175.
No, sir. No, the actions you've taken most recently.
I'm saying before this action.
Yes, sir.
We're at
Yes,
175.
that's correct.
And so if we go down to 100,000, then I'm just trying to figure out what services.
I think you lose the notion of having a dedicated person just focuses on Caddo Parish only.
Okay. Okay. And to be correct, Scott, is any other this side, or I would say in the northwestern part of Louisiana, is there any governmental body that's doing this?
As far as the dedicated staff person?
Correct.
No, and the genesis of this whole conversation was, Commissioner, if you remember back when you were with the Glover administration, there was talk about forming SCEDA, the Shreveport Caddo
Yeah, I think you
Economic
stepped
Development
out yesterday
Authority.
when we talked.
So that was looked at, and actually there was money put in the budget by the commission and by the city at $500,000 each to form $1 million annual budget for that group. That group didn't ultimately go forward, so there were some folks that felt that there was a void from the parish as far as having that person So it was looked at, from my perspective, I thought it was from an economics perspective, as far as the $500,000 that the parish had committed, and then whether the parish, I think at that time, was perhaps contemplating standing up an economic development department and the cost associated with that. And so the $125,000 at that time was thought to be more efficient and less costly for the parish than trying to stand up an economic development arm.
Right.
And then being able to leverage some of the research and some of the internal capacity of NLEP.
So-
That was the thought process back then. And Commissioner Johnson, you were part of that with Lindora Baker, and correct me if I misstate anything.
Yeah, that's correct. You're right.
Yeah, you're right.
You're right.
So if the commission decides to continue this process, what will we see different? Because I see the list here, and I see a lot of inactive, a lot of closed, and I know that economic development is, it's not a guarantee. So because a lot of people feel kind of out of the loop, disjointed.
I don't disagree with that. And one of the issues that we deal with internally within NLEP, and this isn't myopic to this organization in Caddo Parish, is we're the only economic development group in the country that covers 2 MSAs. So what we've got that covers 2 metropolitan statistical areas with Monroe and Shreveport and Bossier. So what our challenge is, and something that we're doing in 2019 that was sort of getting a life of its own before this conversation started with the commission, is to, as it sounds like an oxymoron, but to localize regionalism, where we have a focus group for Northwest, Northeast, and then rural areas. But that's something that we're working on in 2019. But that's a challenge.
I'm talking about
it's
as
just
far
the
as
connectivity. But I still think one of the breakdowns as it relates to this has been communication, and me being president, my communication with this commission on where
Excuse
we're
me,
going.
point of information, 1 minute left, Commissioner Jackson.
Okay. Yeah, I see my time. So is there a scenario where this new are you gonna go with a new staff person or
Certainly.
what?
I don't know about a staff person because we're just in the planning stage, and this is the end of our 5-year strategic plan. So all these things are aligning at one time. So what we've done for 2019 with our public sector partners as a funding alternative, if you will, and that we're asking for a base level of services, a menu of services, is to do it on a per capita basis. So obviously smaller parishes like Claiborne can't do what Caddo can. So we put a 15 cents per capita recommended minimum for the parishes. Bossier Parish is doing that, and some of the others are going that scenario. And there's a defined list of things you get for those. Again, that's something new for 2019 that we can certainly discuss.
All right.
That's very defined as far as the menu of benefits
Time.
for that.
Thank you. Well, I look forward to following up
Yeah.
with you, and let's get together to
Certainly.
discuss whatever. Because I think we have a contractual relationship regardless.
Yes, sir. We have a meeting on next Monday at 1:30 upstairs to discuss this very same subject.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. Scott, thank you for coming in today. I appreciate you sharing that information. I know that it is clearly giving me more information than I had previously. I have great respect for NLEP and your mission and what you do in that respect. I think that we've identified a need for better communication and better expectations as relates to exactly what the expected deliverables are, if you would, as to what they've been, what they are, and what they're expected to be. I thank you for acknowledging your role in it, and I think that gives us a good place to move forward. I think that clearly Zell or Ms. Dudley did a great job as far as being present and just overall representing you in that respect. But there were some obvious concerns, as Commissioner Jackson stated. So thank you for coming in today. I think that your information today was much needed. Thank you. And thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Lynn.
Thank you, Madam President. Dr. Wilson or Mr. Martinez, and so NLEP serves 14 parishes, for which Caddo Parish is one of those 4. And 15 parishes?
14.
It's 14? Okay, 14 parishes. And Did y'all say that Caddo Parish is the only one that funds a $125,000 set person in the past?
As far as I know, and having a dedicated staff member just to focus on us, yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
And so we're the only people that did that. And then that leaves 50,000. The other 13 parishes, do all of those other 13 parishes contribute 50,000 apiece?
No.
Do they contribute any at all?
Yes.
I had sent Attorney Frazier and several other people a question yesterday wanting to know the amounts that each parish contributed. I have not received it yet. Do y'all have that amount?
No, sir, we have to get it from Mr. Scott Martinez. We have no other way of knowing.
Okay.
So we're communicating with him to get that information if we can get it.
Okay. Thank you. That's everything. Thank you, Madam President.
You're welcome, Commissioner
And we're
Leonard.
happy to provide that and also share with you that new funding formula and menu of services.
Mr. Martinez, will you have that information available for the meeting?
Certainly.
Thank you. Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to try to make things a little bit clearer for everybody. We really have a two-tier relationship with NLEP. One, we pay $50,000 a year for this base load support work. That includes regional workforce development, regional job training, and analytical support for specific opportunities that might come up. So that's kind of their base offerings across the board, and that's a very valuable service. It's important for our region and important for economic development. But in addition to that, we had this unique relationship where for additional funding, we retained one individual who was supposed to be dedicated to Caddo Parish. And when an opportunity came up specifically associated with Caddo Parish, then she would pursue that opportunity on our behalf and pursue opportunities that she thought would be suitable for Caddo Parish. So that's the way we have been structured in the past. As you all know, in the meeting on Monday to begin a discussion about where we go from here. Due to a number of reasons, I think that not everybody's fully happy with the current arrangement, just like any contractual arrangement. Oftentimes you have to reevaluate. So we need to reevaluate and make sure that we can establish a structure that will allow us to get the best bang for the Caddo Parish buck as possible. And no one knows what that looks like yet, and we certainly don't want to negotiate it. I mean, it's not something you can negotiate from around this horseshoe. But we all need to get together and put our heads together and work with Scott Martinez to figure out the best path forward for both parties. I mean, all contractual relationships have to be a give and take, so we'll have to find something that works for both parties, or go another path entirely. But just want to give that perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Mr. Martinez, I just want to say that I think that Ms. Dudley did a great job in representing the parish. Got to travel with her a lot to make sure that she was doing everything that she could do to help Caddo Parish evolve. I know for me in District 7, I was excited about the books that she was working on, to the hot spots in the areas that we could develop for economic development. So I know that that's a necessary procedure that we do need to have. However, this conversation was advantageous to each of us because we see that there are many questions and concerns that need to be addressed. So I'm glad that Commissioner Atkins gave the basis of it for a lot of people who were not here, how the relationship started, as well as your detailed information on why you're here and what services that you provide. And I would ask each commissioner to make sure that if you can, attend the meeting so that you can ask those hard questions and have more time to talk with you on a one-on-one basis. Thank you for your service up until now, and I think that you'll still be working with us. I'm very confident of that.
Well, regardless of how our discussions go, we're going to continue to be active in Caddo Parish and work with this commission. So,
thank you, sir.
Madam President.
Dr. Whistler?
We have another guest, Ms. Christina Delahousse.
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 That was close.
Sorry. And she is from the Federal Home Federal Bank Association, and would like to talk to us about their program.
Ms. Russell Smith and Ms. Delahousse, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for coming.
Again.
Go ahead.
We wanted to present to Caddo Parish Down Payment Assistance Authority. I've been a loan officer for 14 years, a mortgage loan officer for 14 years, and basically I kind of went in the avenue of, and I was always intrigued by my buyers who needed money for down payment, and I was always interested in avenues for them to be able to receive money for down payment. So I kind of struck out and went in that direction and found a lot of down payment assistance programs. I researched them, I implemented them in my mortgage loans, and so, you know, if my buyers qualified and they needed money for down payment, and you know, I made sure that our bank, I went to my manager and made sure our bank would partner with other entities to utilize those funds for down payment. And one that I found in particular, which I work for Home Federal Bank, we partner with, you know, the City of Shreveport Happy Program. We partner with Louisiana Housing Corporation out of Baton Rouge, and Federal Home Loan Bank of Dallas. We partner with them. So from August of 2017 to August of 2018, I've helped 148 new home buyers here in Shreveport, well, in the state of Louisiana. And also, I utilized a lot of the down payment assistance programs, and one of them in particular, Louisiana Housing Corporation out of Baton Rouge, where I got the funding for my buyers' down payment. I was named, you know, #1 in the state for utilizing that program for helping my buyers get money. I noticed that there was another entity that will be great for our portfolio to help us, help our buyers get the money. So I contacted CAFA to see if they were here, and she told me that they weren't, and she told me more about them. And I wanted to help her be able to come here and introduce this to see if we can get it approved so that my buyers can start using it for Caddo. And she'll tell you all of the great perks that comes with that.
Awesome.
Thank you. Yes, Kristen Delahousie. I'm with Capital Area Finance Authority, and I have a packet that I gave everyone. Basically, we're a local finance authority, so we're in a 9-parish region. Anytime we go outside of that region, we have to go to the commissioner or a police jury or the local parish government and ask for permission to be able to go in and offer this program. We don't do the funding. We work with approved lenders. I made a list of lenders that are already approved in Caddo right now. So if this were to come to the parish, these lenders currently, if they are selling a home, say to someone in DeSoto Parish or Washita or any of the yellowed parishes, they're able to offer our program. If it gets passed in Caddo, if they have somebody come to their that need the assistance for down payment, closing costs, prepaid items, things like that, they'll be able to help because they're approved through CAFA. It is not just for first-time home buyers. It's not just for low income. We do FHA, we do conventional, VA, RD. Not doing FHA and RD right now, but we offer these programs through our lenders. And so what we do as a thank you to the parish, if we're able to come in, is any fees that we get from the lenders, we split that 50-50. So if they have 11 lenders right now that are approved, and they start offering this program, whenever we get the fees, we would cut a check and every month send it to the commission. And that way y'all can do whatever you want with the money. It's up to you for beautification projects or what have you.
All right.
All right, we have a few commissioners on board. Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I appreciate you all for coming down. We just established a housing trust fund here in Caddo Parish, and hopefully we will give this an opportunity and some more discussion to come back and have some more conversation and discuss this endeavor with you, because I think it's right in line with what our housing trust fund wants to do, which is clear out some of the blight, create sustainable neighborhoods with home owners. And I'm not saying that renters are bad, because renters do take care, but we know that when individuals own their home, they tend to invest, and they're getting wealth. They're buying wealth, basically.
Right, building equity, and that's
achieving the American dream. And so I'm all open to ideas and endeavors that give us that opportunity to increase those capacities here in Caddo Parish. Do you all work with the Federal Home Loan Bank in Dallas, and are you all working with Origins Bank, which is our, we recently, I don't know if y'all are classified as community bank or CDFI.
We're just a housing finance authority, a
Gotcha.
local finance authority,
Gotcha.
not
Okay.
even housing finance, local finance authority.
So are y'all
So
CDFI? Okay.
we work through the lenders,
I
so we don't actually do the funding. So we just have to go, but if there's a bank here, so of the 11 that are already, they're already approved. But what we would do is, I would try to work with y'all and try to market to the other lenders that are here that don't have the program.
Correct.
And then go to them and say, because it can be offered to anybody. Anybody that wants to come on board can. And so we have 3 different programs. And we have the same mission. It's very much aligned. That's what we're doing. We're trying to put people in homes.
Well, that's great, and I want to, I'll get you a flyer, but January 26th, which is a Saturday, we'll have NACA. I'm not sure if you're familiar with NACA, Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America. They will be here doing a workshop. It's in conjunction with our Housing Trust Fund, and so you may have some potential buyers there because their goal was to get folks into homes as well. I don't know if y'all compete, if y'all work together. I don't know how the NACA relationship works, but
I don't. It's funny because some people say we compete with, Louisiana Housing Corporation, but I work very closely with the girl, my counterpart there, because we always say she'll have all the tools. So if somebody, if a borrower comes and it doesn't fit within LHC's, it might fit with CAFA. It's more tools in the toolbox, kind of.
I agree.
If you want to say that.
Well,
So-
thank you, and I look forward to
Yeah, and
I'll shoot
when
you
I
an
come
email.
into these parishes, I would want to come in and I would want to work with the realtors. I would want to do lunch and learns. I would want to get as many, I have Freddie Mac coming in with the conventional loans that are coming in, and we're doing like a road show. And if this parish is approved, I would definitely bring them here, and we would create an event with some of the MI companies and title companies. So I would be actively working to market this in the parish.
Perfect. Well, hopefully our legal can get this together, and we have to authorize the cooperative endeavor.
And I have a cooperative endeavor agreement that I left in everybody's. It's definitely something that just is a guidepost. You can look at it and change it whatever you want.
Thank you. That's it for me, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, Chair. I know this obviously is not the time for the Q&A, so I wanted to see if we could get together with administration and put together a demonstration in the back room and talk about this later under, I'm assuming, NGO committee or whichever you deem the new chairman is. But I want to touch on that 50-50 commission split. I would not want us as the commission body to make a commission or revenue off of the citizens trying to be homeowners. So as opposed to giving us 50%, can you just deduct half of your fee and allow the citizens or whoever is paying this? Or is this a model that you guys would achieve?
That would be a question that I'd have to ask my vice president and our CEO. But all entities, I think, would make money off of, if somebody goes to a bank or a mortgage broker, there are fees that are assessed with that.
I understand. We're not here to make money off the citizens. We're here to try to help them be homeowners.
Right, see, right now, if my buyer needs money for down payment, like I said, I have many different programs, and Louisiana Housing is one. Right now, if they utilize the funds, I close the loan, the loan is sold to them, no money comes to Caddo. That's the end of it. So with CAFA, at least the money is coming back into Caddo, and also my buyer is getting a house. And the way that I structure it, if the seller pays the closing costs and prepays, so if they, if it's an FHA loan and they need 3.5%, I can get them 4%. That covers the down payment. The real estate agent, negotiates a contract. If the seller decides to pay all of the closing costs and prepays, my buyer doesn't come to closing with any money because I've gotten them money for down payment. The seller is paying that, so it's just a win-win. It's just right now the money is going out and nothing is coming back in, and I wanted to have another authority under, in our portfolio, so that if I can kind of navigate, and if my buyer doesn't qualify for this one, I always alternate and I look at that one. So it's not just about let's make some revenue. It's about what the best interest of my buyer is.
Ms. Cole, I appreciate you for coming down, and ultimately that's Commissioner Jackson's goal with the Housing Trust Fund is to get this achieved. So I think you guys are definitely here at the right time, and we'll move into 2019 getting this achieved. Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Chair, that's all.
Thank you, Vice President. Commissioner Carthorne.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to first of all say, Ms. Russell Coleman, you've done an excellent job marketing yourself as a mortgage person. When I came in, I said, that's the mortgage lady. I don't know what bank she's with now. Because I know you spent some time with Region and some other places there.
Thank you.
But my question is also, as a functioning entity, you guys are set up through like a bond issue, you're 501c3, and after you answer that, how would you guys function with your entity and the Parish of Caddo? I know you said about a corporate endeavor agreement. Do we have to set up something within our organization?
I don't think so unless there's anything internally for.
And we don't have to get the money away. We could take the money that we earn and put it into our NGO fund.
Right.
And the housing trust fund. And they can fund our housing trust fund.
Yeah. But go ahead.
It's a turnkey. They
Okay.
manage the whole program.
Manage the whole program,
So
right.
we're just a mechanism or kind of a authorization point place.
Program within the Parish of Caddo.
Okay.
And this is not a bond, so bonds, this is, when there's a pot of money and the bonds are gone, it's gone. This is it's a TPA program, it's to be announced program, so every day there's a rate that's put out, and so it's a little bit higher, so the money is made on the spread of the rate.
Okay.
And so now we may be going back to bonds at the end of the year if rates keep increasing, but right now, this is how we're able to do a down payment assistant program.
Okay, I got a banking background myself, so I understand exactly what you mean about
Yeah.
that spread. How are you guys actually funded? You funded as a nonprofit entity? That was my first question. Or some funding authority?
We are self-sufficient. We're not government, we're not nonprofit.
Okay. You earn what you kill, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Carthorne. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
I'm keeping my question simple. Is there any cost to the parish?
None.
Donna, can we have this on our next work session agenda?
Sure.
All right, I would like to have that, and I would like to sponsor it, and anybody else that would like to co-sponsor would be fine. But I think we procrastinate a lot on a lot of things, and it is something that can come to the parish that will help the citizens of Caddo Parish, especially to be first-time homeowners or existing homeowners. We need to jump on it and get it going. And this is something we should have been a leader in doing, but since it's brought to our attention, I don't want to sit on it. I want us to keep the ball moving and keep it moving fast to help the citizens of Caddo. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Atkins.
Looks like a great opportunity. I support Lyndon Johnson's proposal. But however, I'm still confused. All right, so you grant money to potential homeowners to serve as their down payment, and that's a grant, so it's not a loan.
It's not a loan, but they're going to pay a little higher of the rate. So if the rate's 6.1, it might be 6.125.
So they're obligated to pay the grant back?
No, they do not pay the grant back.
So-
It's just at a higher rate.
The interest rate.
The interest rate, just like if you have a lower credit
I'm-
score. You know how the rates are predicated on credit score?
Okay,
So that's how it's funded.
okay.
And that's why it's a continual, it's not a bond, it's not a pot of money, it's a continual thing.
Okay, thank you. And so so like the bank is not loaning the money, y'all are just servicing your role is to service the loan
Exactly.
and generate the loan. Okay,
And
thank you.
basically what I do is I put a lot of different options on the table for my buyers. Okay, if you need money, if you would like to use your own money for down payment, here's your interest rate. If you need money for down payment, because I'm looking at their assets and what they have in the bank, if you need it and you know, because a lot of them don't know that they're going to need some money or they think that they're going to need 20% down or whatever, you know, but I go over the pre-qualification with them and I give them a lot of different scenarios and they can, pick and choose the best one for them. So it's not like I'm forcing this one on them, but I'm giving them a lot of options to see which one works the best for them.
Thank you, Madam President.
And we do have 3 programs, and one of them is a soft second that you can do. It's a recapture of 7 years. But on the other 2 programs, there's no recapture. So they can move out whenever and they don't pay it back. And the soft seconds forgiven after 7 years. And so those 3 programs should be described in the cooperative endeavor agreement. So you can take all 3, you can take one.
our choice, basically. Commissioner Johnson.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Thank you all for coming in today. I'm continuing to learn, so thank you for the information that you shared today. And I also commend Commissioner Jackson for your foresight as relates to the parish and the possibility of us being able to do things along these lines. So whereas this is relatively new to me, and I'm learning as I go, is very similar. I've heard it through some of the things that you've shared with us before, so I commend you for that as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Parliamentarian Commissioner Bowman.
Yes, Madam President, I'll be brief. I just want to also thank you all for coming, and I'm learning as well on this end with this, so I thank you all. It seems like something great, and I want to thank you, Commissioner Jackson, because you're a highly intelligent person, and it took a lot of fortitude to get out there and stuff out, so thank you. I appreciate you all so much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all just got me wrote up.
Commissioner Bowman.
Thank you, Madam President.
All right. Okay, thank you. And I'll keep mine short. They basically have said everything that we probably already talked about. But thank you so much for coming and sharing with the commissioners your vision, the things that you're doing out here to make sure that we can get all homeowners qualified who wants, not according to whatever their socioeconomic status is, because they do not have to have low income to qualify for DAP. That's what I named it, Down Payment Assistance Program. So I like that a lot because there are a lot of people who are not aware that these programs are available. And it's a lot of people who are watching right now who are probably going to be contacting you about how they can become involved. But because Caddo is not in the yellow yet, we can't quite help them. So we want to make sure that we get this colored yellow and get Caddo on the roadmap so we can be a part of the Freddie Mac show. That so I just want to say thank you so much for sharing this information, and we look forward to working with you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Wilson?
President Gage Watts, you also a good start to your instrumental in being here today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
All right, our last presenter is Mr. Kelly Wells from the Sports Commission. There were several requests for information concerning the request before you for the funding. So Mr. Wells is here to answer any questions you all may have relative to the request.
Welcome, President.
Good evening. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I wanted to come before y'all today and discuss an opportunity that came to us. Really, I think somebody mentioned a lot of times the phone calls, and really our mission is engaging the community to bring sporting events into Shreveport, Bossier, Caddo, and Bossier parishes. And so it actually got this opportunity came through Lindora Baker, who was traveling to some Baptist convention meeting, and anyway, she called Superman Blunt because Superman does the bodybuilding events. The conversation was, she was with somebody that I've not met yet, and he was basically saying, we know a national promoter who's looking at bringing a fight down to Laberge and Lake Charles or Baton Rouge, and they've done a non-televised fight down there in Lindora, which I applaud her for, and the community get involved. She said, well, but they weren't getting back with her with him in a timely manner. So she said, well, let me make a phone call to somebody that I know in Shreveport that's taking the bodybuilding to a national level. So anyway, she called Superman. Superman called me and presented this opportunity. And, it kind of goes back. Amber Bishop would be here, but she's actually over. She's got an MMA fight, but she's actually the promoter for the event next Friday. Mario had met with me back in August before and said, I want you to meet a boxing promoter. And so anyway, I met with Amber, and one of the things she mentioned was in the next couple of years, I'd really like to do a big-time boxing event. I called her about November the 12th and said, I know it's not been 2 years, but we've got an opportunity to bring a big event to Shreveport on Friday, January the 11th. So we brought the promoter in from New York. He looked at it and basically loved Shreveport. They'd never really been outside of New Orleans, in Baton Rouge and Lake Charles. And so the opportunity became available. The problem we've got with our casinos locally outside the Horseshoe, there's not really a venue attached to a casino that meets the qualifications of hosting a Showtime boxing event of this nature. We felt like we had it with the Bossier Casino. The promoter signed off of it, but when Showtime flew in, they said the ceiling heights weren't large enough. So I did what I do sometimes and, said, what about that Stageworks venue that, there's not been a movie project in about 22 months, called Shelley Regal, Mike Moorhead and that group, and next thing we knew, we're reopening that venue on Friday, January the 11th. So to me, that's a great economic opportunity. It's already opened the doors to see if there's some other avenues that we can reopen that Shreveport Expo convention. So I think this will be the first time since 2005 that there's been an event over there. So, I think that can be a game changer, not only for the Shreveport Aquarium and the Red River District, but also the Sam's Town and El Dorado across the street. So, so as far as what we're looking at, Amber's been doing some boxing events. She did one that did really well at the River Dome, but again, the casino subsidized a lot of that, and it still had the economic impact for the area. The budget for this big-time event, a lot of that pricing is having to do with the showtime and the international exposure that these events are bringing in. So what we've asked a local promoter to do is basically go from a $35,000 to $45,000 budget, which she does 5 or 6, to about a $175,000 budget where we're at right now. So as far as being a for-profit versus non-profit, and Commissioner Johnson he's the appointee for the Sports Commission. These events, what I've seen is it takes a village to really make these big-time events happen. And a lot of times what I've seen with the smaller market, like the Shreveport-Bossier area, is, like with Miss USA, for example, sometimes our best opportunities come last minute. And so, there were probably other cities that were reached out, but, again, we did the math, we figured it out, and we felt like, sometimes we got to move at the speed of lightning to make these things happen. So, we sat down with the Sports Commission. Of course, we'd already set our budgets and everything else. City got on board to let us use the Stageworks. Of course, what that did was increase, some of the expenses that are going on at the Stageworks. So I provided each of y'all an economic impact. Again, that's something that we do on all of our events. That is an estimated impact based on looking in the crystal ball to see how many tickets we sell. With getting started around mid-November, what we've seen at this point is with the holidays and Thanksgiving, everybody's just really back. So we've already seen, I know Mr. Settle mentioned the forum. We've reached out to our media partners because it really costs about $20,000 to do a good local promotion. So again, to get us to the point where we need her to break even at $1,500, we've got to spend the money. So a lot of the advertising is getting ready to crank up. It just started with the forum. Some of our TV and radio partners are starting up later this week, and we wanted to get through the New Year's and let everybody get through their partying. And this will be one of the only events taking place next weekend. And so, what, I'm coming before y'all today, and I don't believe I made a request from y'all last year. I can tell you in initial conversation, the request was much higher than what I'm coming for you today, but I just really feel like, I feel like I'm protective of y'all's funds, but I really feel like this is an incredible opportunity. I applaud, I've spoke with more, probably from y'all's entity than any other entity, so I appreciate y'all doing the checks. In fact, Commissioner Atkins even had me go back and, really went down and dirty with the economic impact. So again, that's an estimated impact. To break even on this event, we've got to have about 1,500. Our goal is to have 2,500 there. So as far as the fight, it's Friday, January the 11th. It's I think an 8, and I was calling it a rink at first, so I'm a sports guy, but I'm still learning each of these sports. But the headliner is going to be Devin Haney, who's out of Las Vegas. I mean, he's part of the Floyd Mayweather group, and he's going to be fighting
I've been waiting for you to pronounce this name.
Well, I was going to ask you to do that, Commissioner. Right. He's out of South Africa, Zalasini Najini. And but there will also be the other co-feature is Ruben Villa, who's also undefeated. We'll be fighting Puerto Rican Carlos Vidal, who's also undefeated, and then a heavyweight out of Cuba. So it's an incredible opportunity. From what I've seen in doing this for quite a few years, and it's kind of like a startup for new business. A lot of times our local folks don't really get involved because it goes from a $35,000 budget to a $200,000 budget, and the easy thing to do is stick with what's comfortable. So our commitment was, we've got your back. We know that moving to the Stageworks, that's a great thing for downtown Shreveport because I know with the riverboat funds and all those other things, this is going to be a great opportunity to add some life to that downtown area, especially in January, which is our slowest month of the year as far as hotel ADR. And so I really think it's going to bring high energy to our area, whether you're a boxing fan or not. I think it's a great opportunity. Boxing's kind of taken second to UFC and MMA, but after Floyd Mayweather beat out the champion, which we probably all saw, boxing started getting stronger again. So they announced this fight at a sold-out Staples Center in Los Angeles about 3 weeks ago, and they just had a big fight in New York not long ago. So the show box it's the up-and-coming, so it's not Floyd Mayweather, but they're coining him to be the next Floyd Mayweather. So whether you like boxing or not, I know Showtime alone is flying 40 staff in next Monday or Tuesday. Devin Haney's group is flying about 30 folks along with their entourage that come in. It's going to have a great impact. We still don't know. I mean, our main thrust right now is selling tickets. Showtime's really pushing nationally, internationally. It's even going to be broadcast in South Africa, just because that's where that fighter's from. And so I provided you with the economic impact, again, where we feel like we're at this point. I wanted to take into consideration, because I know how much we all value those dollars. I wouldn't come to you unless I felt like we needed it. One thing that she's been able to do is go and buy a rink, and I did let her know that this is a one-time thing from our end, unless you get Floyd Mayweather to come in or something and it makes sense. But I really think this is a great opportunity, and she's very aware that she's bringing in she's going to pick up a brand new custom boxing rink in Kentucky next week. She's already talking to the Georges Pond at the Hirsch about doing a big fight next July. But I've seen so many one and dones in this area, and we've got a great private partnership, and we had a record year as far as private partners. We're putting a lot of money into this. I talked to the Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungusser. He's putting $20,000 into the event to really, he knows the impact that this can have along with the Showtime. And so it'll be 2 hours on Showtime next Friday when there's no football, no Friday night football going on. So I think it'll be some great exposure for the Caddo Shreveport area.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. We have a couple of commissioners. Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Mr. Wells. I just wanted to make sure that our colleagues didn't overlook some of the key information here that's in your analysis. Your estimated overnight attendees is 1,350. That would support about 562 direct jobs and 68 indirect jobs for total job support of 630. The business sales associated with the event would be over $1 million at almost 1.1 million. Direct tax receipts are estimated to be 39,483, and the community cost is about 38,000. So there's more in tax receipts than cost. The estimated total, total return on investment is estimated to be about $6,000. But and all that, so the taxpayers shouldn't lose money on this initiative. And I believe it's important that we do invest in some activities in our community and try to, oftentimes I think I'm accused of being Commissioner No. Sometimes that we do get on board with projects that make economic sense and will add a vibe to our community, and maybe it'll catch on, and maybe we'll see one of these events quarterly or something that can help inject some energy into our downtown area. So that was the reason I felt like it's a supportable project. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Bowman, parliamentarian.
Yes, Madam President. I just want to thank you again. I appreciate what you do, Mr. Kelly, with the Sports Commission and other members as well. And for the public, can you announce again what network will the boxing fight be?
It'll be on Showtime next Friday, and I think that the doors will open up at the Louisiana Stage Works, which is across from Samstown and El Dorado, at 5:30, and I think the first fight starts at 6:30. So there'll be some local regional bouts, and then the Showtime will start up, I believe it'll run from 9 to 11:30 to midnight.
Yes, sir. And
So,
where can tickets be purchased?
Through the website, AKA, I believe it's akacombat.com. I can follow up with that. Also, starting on Monday, and we were over there cleaning up the box office, which has not been used in a long time. So
Right.
starting on Monday morning, there'll be a physical box office over in front of the Louisiana Stage Works, and you can actually pull right over there. So tickets start at $30. we tried to make it, we're working on some things with the military right now, because again, we want to make sure, the great thing with the Stageworks venue is that you can seat up to 4,000. Again, our break-even's 1,500. What the estimate was on the economic impact was 2,500, and then about 200 staffers, because, you've got, I think, 20 boxers alone, and each one of those boxers, and these guys are coming from international.
Yeah.
So,
I'm just excited, first of all, just to even have a building such as Stageworks that's been so desolate for over 10, 15 years now have better use. And so do you foresee more events like this to come for Caddo and Shreveport?
I think the city still owns the facility, and the movie industry was strong, and that building was used from about 2005 until really, I think the last event was about 22 months ago. So you never know, looking in your crystal ball, what the movie industry is going to do, but I really feel like when it's not in use for that there's some great opportunities. So I know that the city's having discussions, and again, I just think the reason we're doing it, the Stageworks, is because the Hearst has got something going on. Municipal's got something going on. Right. The convention center's got a huge cheerleading event going on. To me, bringing another 1,500 or 2,000 people to supplement what's already going on. So there's a real strong balance of making sure we don't cannibalize the convention center or the municipal. But again, it is still a phenomenal venue.
I agree, and the fact that we have multiple things going on, I think everyone around the Horseshoe, we finally want to be that area in Parish and city where we don't have to try and find something to do. We finally want to get to that point where we're deciding what we are able to do and want to do. And so having those options, it's very valuable for us, and I thank you again for being at the helm of that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bowman.
Thank you.
Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President. Mr. Wells, thanks for coming down. As usual, you're always the advocate for anything fun in Shreveport and Bossier, and I love that about you. It doesn't matter if you like it, if you like wrestling or archery or boxing or wakeboarding, you're an advocate for all the people here in Caddo Parish, and all the people that always say there's nothing to do here. I was about to touch on that. You can't really say that anymore. Shreveport is really becoming something great, and you've had a big hand in that. I appreciate you. I'm glad that John brought it up about him being Mr. No. I was going to say that if Mr. No is on board with it, it's going to be very easy to see this get passed. But he can obviously see the numbers and the rate of return, and what we're looking at of resurrecting this old city asset of this building that hasn't been used since I know I personally wasn't a commissioner. I'm looking forward to that, because that's only going to bring churn to have more people come in and say, hey, look at this amazing building and see the potential, like I think is what's going to happen with Miss USA. You guys worked hard and you brought that here, and I think they're going to come back. I'm believing in that. The residual benefit that's going to be left after having Showtime come down here, you said it yourself, they said, where's Shreveport? Every time somebody says Louisiana, they think of New Orleans, and it's time for Shreveport to be the better side of the state, and I think we're ready for that, and we're poised thanks to you. This is obviously going to go down in the heartbeat of the city, which I know Commissioner Jackson is happy about, and the downtown is becoming something that we're all proud of. So thanks for bringing it on this side of the river, and I personally obviously will be supporting this, but thank you for all your hard work in this. That's all, President.
Thank you, Vice President Chavez. Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
Okay, thank you, Madam President. Kelly, you said you've not been before the body before for money. You may or may not have, but I know that in my district, there have been a number of events that you've been working on and working hard with, that you've been very instrumental in without coming before the body. So I really applaud you with what you do. Proud to support you, and thanks for coming down today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lewis Johnson. Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you, Madam President. Kelly, thank you. I still we need to connect via phone call.
Yes, sir.
That's separate and unrelated. My question is, do you know if is this going to be televised?
Yes, it'll be on Showtime, and so it won't be blacked out in this market, but yeah, it'll be pretty much. Showtime streaming, you can pick it up all over the world.
My
try to get it blacked out?
To lead to another question. Do you know if they're going to be applying for the motion film or the tax credit that they get for like the Super Bowl?
They're not.
Okay. And the other question I see here, it says the net direct local tax ROI.
This is the economic impact we use is something that was developed by the Convention and Visitors Bureau International.
Okay.
It used to be a one number fit all, and even if you look at Shreveport and New Orleans, there's a lot of difference. So this allows us to actually put our local and state taxes in and put our average hotel rate. So it's really a good snapshot. And again, it's an estimate. So our goal, and when I put this together, was to have 2,500 paid attendees at the event, and then the additional 200 was showtime and more of the boxers and that group that came in with it. So that's how I came up with the 2,700.
Well, I was looking at the net direct. It's 1483, or am I looking at the same thing?
On the key metrics.
Yeah, on the key metrics.
Okay, that's
so. Is that what is the ROI? I'm just trying to figure out how we interpret that ROI.
The
16%.
Is that per participant, or is that total? Or?
This is really, and normally we just provide the front page. This is really set up for a tourist bureau to kind of look at it from our hotel occupancy tax side of it, the investment. The old school days, we get about 3% of what we put in, and so we used to be limited on putting in 3% of the tax, and it really didn't provide the funds that we needed to bring some of these events to light.
Okay.
So
let me just say I appreciate you all for using the Stageworks location. Back when there was a discussion about Cross Bayou, I had always sort of said that it's kind of similar to the arena that was being proposed and thrown out there. And I think if we retrofit the Stageworks place and do some facade improvements in our downtown right now, and I've talked to Liz about this, and at the time Jeff Everson, but I've had some preliminary conversations with Levette Fuller about it, and you can really make that and lift the light and lift the spirit and breathe some new life, because once you walk out of Stageworks, you walk right into the casinos, and so folks who like to go do the casino thing, they can do the casino thing. Folks who like to go sit out and have fun in the Red River District, they can go do that. And so I like the fact that you all did not look over Stageworks, or I don't know if they chose Stageworks, but whoever chose Stageworks, kudos to you, and hopefully we'll start using that more, because I think it can be retrofitted or outfitted to do just about anything. Wrestling, boxing, indoor basketball. I know these youth sports is pretty popular, so hopefully we can see an asset in our Stageworks film, and we'll catch up sometime.
Okay.
Appreciate it, Kelly, and I'll have some more questions offline for you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Before I get you Parliamentarian Bowman, let me go ahead. I didn't put myself in the queue, so I don't want to take advantage of the presidential privilege, but I'm already in the queue.
You're the president.
Yes, there is.
All of a sudden.
No, you created it.
It's back.
First of all,
It's back, huh?
yes. Thank you, Mr. Will, so much. I'm excited about seeing something happen inside of Expo Hall. It was doing a great service with the movies when they were in Shreveport. We were Little New Orleans, but personally, I've held many parties, many concerts in Expo Hall, and I know that is a great place that you can do things with the ticket sales. The way it's set up, it's an awesome place for a fight, and I can just see that on Showtime. With my vision of making Shreveport that destination location, I'm so grateful to hear Commissioner Atkins be on board with this, and so this won't be a one and done type stigma, because we have to start doing something to make sure that we get rid of that stigma, because Shreveport does get great opportunities, but we let them slip through our fingers by not making sure that we continue to support them. So if we're supporting it this time, we need to continue to support the events that are coming to Shreveport more than just the beauty pageants, or more than just, football games or basketball games. There are all types of sports that are available, as you know, because that's what you do, but we need to make sure that we're doing our part as well. And I'm glad Commissioner Vice President Chavez brought up something about Shreveport and how people think about New Orleans, every time you say Louisiana. And it's time for Shreveport to have its identity. And she deserves it. She's been working hard for a long time. And I believe with our new administration and Caddo Parish commissioners, we're going to make that difference and make sure that Shreveport Caddo has the identity that it deserves. So thank you.
Thank you, President.
Parliamentarian Bowman.
Okay, and I defer for the first time. I see Linda B. Johnson, Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you.
Defer to me. Wonderful. Well, one thing I have to say, working with Kelly on the Sports Commission, there's a lot of sports events that get vetted through the Sports Commission. Some of them make them, some of them don't. This is an opportunity for Shreveport to shine, just like we do for the Independence Bowl. We did for the Miss USA and Miss Teen USA pageants. When we had the Bass Masters, the Fly Bass tournaments. This is another opportunity to get, Shreveport to shine the way that it should shine. And what it does, it puts additional people in hotel rooms, like we talked about yesterday. We talked about the hotel tax, but you got to be able to have some kind of function or something to happen in Shreveport in order to put bodies in hotel rooms. Otherwise, they stagnant. And this is one event that will help put rooms in, and so the economic impact of this is way greater than $8,000 that we'll be investing for the Showtime deal. And we sit here and we look at ways to improve Caddo Parish. This is one of the ways. Quality of life. Things like this. Somebody might see it on Showtime across the world and say, I want to go visit Shreveport. And we sit and complain about all the events that happen below I-10. Well, now this is an opportunity for something to happen above I-10.
Amen.
And along I-20, and we need to take advantage of it. It's at a very low cost, something that we do all kind of stuff way greater than this, and for other stuff that's outside of this type of feature that we do. And I won't go into details about how we do spend some taxpayers' money on some things that I totally disagree with, but we do anyway. But this is just something that's a win-win situation for Shreveport and Caddo Parish.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Parliamentarian Bowman.
Thank you, Madam President. And with that also being said, I'd be remiss if I did not recognize one of the persons who has our best interests at heart on the Sports Commission is our own Commissioner Linda B. Johnson. So I think it's a great deal how we're able to work and stay in communications that way. And a sidebar, whenever you finish, there's a young lady out there who's having a festival, and I just want to see how we can tie that in. You can talk with her as well. Thank you.
Alto, and that's one of our main initiatives for this coming year is we're already sitting down with several different festivals to see, instead of adding, like, the balloon rally's done real well, but there are a lot of things going on, so instead of just adding a whole new entertainment and sports component, we're really reaching out to, Mudbug Madness last year, we added a strongman competition behind the aquarium, so we're really trying to reach out and see if there's a sports component. Cornhole's gotten popular, so we just did a cornhole with the Independence Bowl, and it's a low-cost sporting event that's one of the fastest-growing sports out there. So I'd love to visit and see if we can add a sports component to it.
All right, we got another commissioner, Commissioner Carthorne.
Thank you, Madam President. I won't belabor the point. I think everything has been said as needs to be said. I just wanted to drop this out here. As we look at making Shreveport Bossier a better community, and we talk about what happens south of I-10, the reality is New Orleans is an international city, so people are going to be traveling to that place all the time. It has history and the like. I think where the benefit lies in Shreveport Bossier is focusing in on the weekend traveler, somebody who's going to travel either 260 miles east of us, 270 miles west of us, 2-day stay, 2-night hotel stay, events that fit around that type of marketing, that type of consumer, because we're going to be more of a regional locale than anything else. And I think if we focus in on that, that's where we start to build ourselves into a New Orleans 20 years down the road. So I just want to put that in your ear. I know you deal with the people at the Tourism Bureau, but we as a community, with what you're doing, events like that, those weekend type events that attract those weekend travelers, that's where we need to begin. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Carthorne. That's all the commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Wells, for coming.
Okay. Thank you all for your time.
Dr. Wilson? Thank you. Michelle, we are back in your hands.
Hello.
Public hearing on ordinances, ordinance number 5834 of 2018, amending the 2018 budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the Riverboat Fund to reduce the appropriation for riverboat revenues by $100,000.
Okay, do we have anyone here wanting to speak in favor of ordinance number 5834 of 2018? Is there anyone here to speak against ordinance number 5834 of 2018? We have none.
Ordinance number 5838 of 2018 to enact section 32-46.1 of the Code of Ordinances relative to the parish buildings and grounds to generally regulate activity and to prohibit certain acts on or about parish buildings.
Okay. Do we have anyone here wish to speak in favor of ordinance number 5838 of 2018? Do we have anyone here wanting to speak against ordinance number 5838 of 2018? I declare this public hearing on these ordinances closed.
Ordinances for final passage. Ordinance number 5834 of 2018, amending the 2018 budget.
Madam President, I would like to englobe ordinance number 5834 and 5838 and adopt for the body.
I think everybody's in agreement.
Second.
Steve, I second.
Second by Commissioner Jackson. It's been moved by Commissioner Johnson to englobo ordinance number 5834 and 5838.
Englobo and adopt.
Englobo and adopt, and it's been seconded by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. Please vote.
Just these two? Yes.
Yes.
That's the only two you can do.
Yeah, that's it.
And that passes 11-1.
I didn't put them on that, Matthew.
Now we move to zoning ordinances for introduction by title. Zoning case P-35-18 in regards to ordinance number 5839 of 2019, amending the zoning of property located on the north side of Greenwood Road, approximately 1,600 feet west of Broad Acres Road, from RA Rural Agricultural District to I-1 Light Industrial District. Now we move to ordinances for introduction by title. Ordinance number 5842 of 2019, amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the Economic Development Fund in the amount of $8,000 to provide an appropriation for Showtime boxing event. Ordinance number 5843 of 2019, amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the Economic Development Fund to cancel the $125,000 appropriation for NLEP. Ordinance number 5847 of 2019, amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the Riverboat Fund in the amount of $5,000 to provide an appropriation for the Cedar Grove CDC. Ordinance number 5848 of 2019, amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the Economic Development Fund and the Riverboat Fund in the amount of $15,000, $10,000 from Economic Development and $5,000 from Riverboat to provide an appropriation for Grace Community. Ordinance number 5849 of 2019, to close and abandon a portion of a road dedication in Section 1, Township 16 North, Range 14 West in the Parish of Caddo. Now we need to ratify the work session minutes.
Motion to ratify.
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Matthew Lynn, second by Commissioner Carthorne to ratify the work session minutes from January 2nd, 2019. Please vote. And that passes unanimously.
Now we
Next
move to
item.
resolutions. Resolution number 1 of 2019, to request the legislature to accelerate the repaving of the Jimmy Davis Bridge.
So moved.
Second.
That was moved by Commissioner Middleton, second by Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
Yes, please.
And I have Commissioner Jackson on the board.
Yes, I just
Commissioners.
like to remind us that, you know, this is one of the examples of us requesting the legislature to take actions. And so when later opportunities come, you may agree, you may disagree, but please do not say it is not our position to request or advocate to the legislature. And I just want to make sure that we pointed this out here in this time and in this place, that this is what we're doing. Don't have a problem with this, plan to vote for it, but let's make sure we're consistent on what we're doing. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes, been sitting in many different conferences with Secretary of Transportation, Dr. Sean Wilson. The state has a priority of what they're trying to do as far as infrastructure repairs, and even if with this request, the prioritization is already set, and it's not going to make a difference of what we do on this vote. I do have a PowerPoint presentation if y'all want to see it. I got it last year when he gave it at one of the conventions I was at. But it basically outlines the focus of Louisiana DOT and what they plan to repair in the upcoming years. And so this could be a worthless vote one way or the other. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Michelle, I believe my computer is down.
Having some
Commissioner
technical
Middleton.
difficulties.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, I understand there are priorities. Also, this was a priority about 2 or 3 years ago. They were going to completely redo the structure, including painting and all. And so the money is still there because it's not been used. There's talk about making an additional span or something in the future once all the environmental studies are done and all that. But right now, the road is deplorable. It has about 40,000 vehicles a day traveling across it, and I think it's a bad message for both Caddo and for Bossier that people have to go through here and go through the bridge. The other thing is, as I mentioned the other day, and I appreciate you looking at Dr. Wilson's budget for it. I think the legislature does have some power over the budget where money can be spent, and I think that's why I'm doing this. And also have on board already City Council from Shreveport and Bossier, and Bossier Parish Police Jury that's willing to do the same thing. And we send it on over to our legislatures and let them deal with it the way they can. And that's the way I feel about it. And this affects both mine and Commissioner Lynn's districts most directly, but most people use that also as an order to go to the other districts in this parish, and or to go through Shreveport. So that's it. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner Middleton. Commissioner Atkins?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to point out that while I historically have hesitated to advise the state legislature on issues that I felt were complicated, complex, or controversial, particularly items that I did not understand well. In this particular case, I feel this is a pretty simple example of a local project that is very easy to evaluate by doing a simple drive over the bridge. So for that reason, I'm comfortable speaking on this issue and voting on this issue, and don't feel the need to suggest that we take it off the agenda because it's a state legislative issue. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Vice President Chavez?
Thank you, Chair. I don't want to beat a dead horse. I knew this was coming, but obviously the squeaky wheel gets the oil, so I'll be supporting this. I think it's needed. But I would just ask one step further, Dr. Wilson, will you make sure that our state legislators, not just after, bless you, after this gets passed, that we send it down to Baton Rouge and it gets filed in whomever's drawer, that we actually send a copy to each legislator that represents around the river, and so that they can actually see it, and hopefully they're the squeaky wheels down there in Baton Rouge for us.
Will do.
That's all, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President. Commissioner Dominic?
Yes, I just wanted to agree with Commissioner John Atkins. While I historically don't agree with telling the legislators something to do, this appears to be something that is local, and I will continue when we have things that we're going to put before the legislature and tell them what to do that is controversial, that is something that their job. I don't feel that that's being inconsistent. I will continue to vote no on that. I have a right to do that, and I will do that. But on this one, I am going to vote yes. That's all I have to say. Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Dominic. Commissioner Carthon?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I just want to chime in and say that it's difficult to vote against the singing governor for the state of Louisiana. So can I add a caveat that we add a plaque that says "You are my sunshine"? Thank you.
Accepted.
Thank you,
Accepted.
Commissioner Carthon. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson?
Okay, Commissioner Carthon, I was just looking at the PowerPoint presentation, and basically, the song that he used is "Ain't No Sunshine." Yeah. So just looking at the PowerPoint presentation, the project that's being best pushed in this area is the I-220 Barksdale interchange. So that's the one that DOT is pushing in this area. The other things are happening in South Louisiana along I-10.
Always.
So, like there again, I mean, the only way that we can get more roads done is if we increase taxes. And that's one of the things.
Well, guess I'll be traveling by boat.
The excise tax failed in the legislation, the past session. So based on that, it's going to be limited on infrastructure repairs. And like I said, they prioritize which ones they're going to do. And Jimmy Davis put them in the top.
We can't raise taxes. We can raise fees, not taxes.
Oh, fees would be better for some people.
Not taxes.
That's it, Commissioner Jackson?
That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Hidden fees.
Commissioner Jackson, second time.
Yes, Dr. Wilson, is this been identified as a priority at NLCOG, or where does it stand at? Because if I'm correct, there was an endangered species.
It is the priority, and the endangered species had delayed repairs that were ready to go in the past. In lieu of that, they decided to replace the bridge, and that money was not going to be available, so they went back to resurfacing the road. But we've been giving it as a priority for the last 5 years. I did talk to Senator Peacock about it, because he called me the last time we submitted our requirements, and we spoke about that bridge, and he told me that's his requirement too.
But this bridge has been quite a hot topic,
Yes, sir, it has.
controversial topic.
It
And
has.
so I just want to repeat myself that I don't have a problem voting for this. I just want to make sure that we're clear when other issues come up, whether you agree or not.
They'll be
that
telling you what
we
not to
have.
do.
Well, no, I just think that we have an obligation as a body. We have a responsibility as a body to simply take a position and not chastise one another for bringing it. I applaud Commissioner Milton for bringing this. This is a priority to you and to your constituents. But let's not chastise when other individuals bring ideas that are priorities to them. So just want to make sure that we're keeping it standard. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Middleton, second time around.
Well, no one else is up there, so let's move it on.
Who's gonna call for the question?
Time out.
All right, let's vote. Please vote. That passes 11-1.
Thank y'all.
Next item.
Resolution number 2 of 2019 to authorize the parish administrator to terminate the contract with NLEP for a designated Caddo Parish economic development person.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Matthew Lynn, second by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. We have Commissioner Middleton. Are you back on the board?
Yes. I'd like to move to, take this to the committee. This is coming up this next week. We'll lay any vote on this till the committee meeting and other discussions been occurring. Thank you.
Commissioner Lynn, you didn't make a motion,
Yes.
so Commissioner Lynn.
In light of the meeting this coming week, I think that it's important that we start off with a clean sheet of paper. The fact that there's 14 parishes that participate in NLEP, and we are the only parish that has a $120,000 a year designated position, and the fact that the contract is already written and could obligate us to do something is all the reason that I need today to vote to end this contract. Now, when and if we choose to enter into another contract, we can enter into that contract and use this piece of paper as a historical document and build upon it or change whatever we want in it. But right now, today, if we don't pass this, we are legally obligated to support this contract. And so I urge us that time is of the essence and that we must make this contract null and void. And then if we choose to, at a later date, even 2 weeks from now, come back and adopt this contract exactly as it's written, that's our prerogative. That's our choice. However, today is the time to make this contract null and void, and then we can look at it as a historical contract after that. Thank you. That's all, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynn. Commissioner Atkins?
Thank you, Madam President. I agree with Commissioner Matthew Lynn in this particular case. Just to remind you all, yesterday morning this issue came up, and our legal counsel advised that we might be better off just go ahead and terminating this contract, because by keeping it in place, we could be obligated to certain things that we might not want to be obligated to. So by terminating it, it gives us more flexibility and a clean slate in our ongoing discussion. So I would encourage us to not send this to committee at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Commissioner Bowman.
Thank you, Madam President. And since my economic guru, Commissioner Atkins, has spoken, I wanted to know, we are going to take this to Economic Committee afterwards for more discussion?
Yeah, next Monday.
Next Monday?
5:30.
Okay. Well, then I too agree. We don't need to be legally bound in something that we know that we don't plan on currently committing to. So as a result, I'll be in support of this, and with hopes that we do have that continued discussion with Mr. Martinez to see what we can do and not just throw everybody to the side once we're done with them. Let's continue a partnership, see how we can do it. That's it. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Bowman. Commissioner Jackson.
I'm just curious, Attorney Frazier, hypothetically, if we don't pass the motion that's on the table, we're still bound by this contract, correct?
Correct.
And hypothetically, if NLEP hires somebody Monday, then where are we?
There are certain provisions that have to be fulfilled if the contract is terminated if they have a staff person.
Okay.
The extent or the amount of money that I guess would be necessary to fulfill those conditions may be minimal if somebody is hired Monday, but depending on the time that they've worked there, or their contract terms with NLEP, but we still have those terms incumbent upon the commission.
And thank you. And so if we terminate today, would we still be bound by the contract, or will we just be getting prepared to do the 90-day notice?
We'd be getting prepared to do the notice.
So we're still sort of in the agreement, almost, maybe?
Basically, what you have, then you got something, I guess, to
Arbitration.
discuss.
Arbitration, something like that?
Probably not that,
What does Jackie Scott do? What is that she does? You know what I'm talking about, when you come to
the judge think, no, we won't be doing
when you come to the
that.
table and talk about
Mediation.
Oh, okay.
mediation, thank you.
That's it.
So we'll be in mediation.
I was like, we're going to Cajun Court?
Plug for Cajun Court. Mediation, will we be in mediation, I guess?
No, not exactly. I think we would probably have to discuss whether those, after having the notice, whether those provisions are applicable, because I don't think Mr. Martinez would go out and do that after he's got notice that we're not.
Okay.
Nah, he's too
We're
honorable.
still not, but legally, we're just not out. I don't want folks to think we're out of this contract.
Right. We still have to give our notice before it's terminated.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. And there again, we have two different agreements with NLEP. So this is the one that's basically talking about the economic development person that resides over there. Right now, that person has turned in their resignation, so this is the absolutely best time to do this and look at this and to end the contract. And if we want to renew it, then we can renew it. At the time that we started this was the best spot to actually look at putting that person. But I do think that there are some new ideas on the horizon that we might want to look at before the year's out that could be an economic development benefit to us as well as the city of Shreveport. And some of that stuff will be unfolding pretty soon, but at the same time, I think that this was the best opportunity in 2016. I think there are maybe potentially some better opportunities now in 2019 to have a economic development person or department or team that's going to be focused on Shreveport, Caddo Parish, and we just have to analyze it at that time. But I think now is the time to end the contract.
That's it?
Now's the time.
Thank you, Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. I won't beat a dead horse, but before I digress, I just want to reiterate what was said. I don't think that Mr. Martinez would slide someone into that position. As Attorney Frazier was saying about the provisions that are already a part of the contract, and I know that you won't go into details legally about it, but we do understand that it's important for us to do this at this time, as Commissioner Jackson has stated, that we are still bound by contract until these 90 days are up. So I think it is best and advantageous for us to support terminating this contract at this time with hopes of renewing future contracts. Thank you. Let's vote.
Point of order, ma'am?
Yes.
Did Commissioner Middleton make a substitute motion or?
No, he didn't.
Okay, thank you.
Nobody second.
Yes.
So we're voting now on the resolution as written?
Yes.
So a
Thank you.
yes vote would terminate the contract.
Yes vote would terminate the
Does
contract.
anyone need it read to them again? Are you understanding what you're voting on? No questions? Let's vote. And that passes with one out of the chamber. 11, yes. Next item.
We have no old business, we move to new business. Confirm appointment of Mr. Greg Sims to the Caddo Parish Fire District Number 4 Board to fill the unexpired term of Mr. Ron Lloyd, who has resigned. Term to expire December 4th, 2020.
Move to approve. Second.
It's been moved to approve by Commissioner Jim Smith, and that was seconded by Commissioner Mike Middleton. No one's on the board. Please vote. And that passes 10 yes with 2 out of the chamber. Next item.
Move to adjourn.
Communiques and committee reports.
Communiques.
Move to adjourn.
Communiques.
a committee report.
No communiques, no committee reports. No citizen comments. Commissioner, Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President. Real quick, guys. The Youth Challenge Program is having a cadet interview tomorrow at the library on Pines Road at 10 a.m. So if you know anyone in the community that has some youth that are looking to go to the Youth Challenge Program, or maybe they've just recently dropped out and need somewhere to go, tomorrow 10 a.m. on Pines Road, they're going to do open interviews for the next session. Thanks, guys. Thanks, President.
Thank you, Vice President Chavez. Commissioner Johnston.
Just
Louis
want
Johnson.
want to recognize Michelle Nations in Todd's absence. She's doing double duty over here. She's doing a great job. Want to recognize her.
Good job.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson, for raising that awareness. She is doing the job of two and doing it well. Thank you, Ms. Michelle Nations. Commissioner Atkins.
To the point that Louis Johnson just raised, I hope Todd Hopkins is feeling better. We wish him a quick recovery.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pneumonia.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. We all wish you well, Mr. Todd, and we know you're probably watching us. Do I have a motion?
Move to
I
adjourn.
did that 10 minutes ago.
Let's go. Meeting is adjourned. Steady.